Coffee does dehydrate you. Is that true? I think that's salt water. You're thinking of salt water. I don't think coffee dehydrates you. Coffee does? Then how am I still alive? That's what I thought. This is the reason why the Trump administration is defunding the schools, okay? Because clearly it hasn't helped you guys at all. You know, you've got your big brain academic egghead bullshit. You toss it at the wall. What's the wall? Reality. And it don't stick. Because you drink coffee and don't do real stimulants? Well, actually, I might have accidentally taken double my Adderall dose today because I woke up kind of groggy. I don't remember if I took any right when I woke up. So now I'm in like the, well, do I take zero or risk taking two kind of deal. That's why you got the little pill box? No, I'm not that old. I used to take 300 milligrams of Adderall a day. I don't believe you. That's a lot. You can also keep a log. Keep a log. Write down your journal. Jesus Christ. Fucking Saturday, May 24th, I took my pills. Jeez, you just punch your own ticket at that point, man. Speaking of big brains, here's Trump's rambling at West Point. Yeah.
Did it work out? A trophy wife. It didn't work out too well, but that doesn't work out too well. I must tell you, a lot of trophy wives doesn't work out, but it made him happy for a little while at least. But he found a new wife. He sold his little boat and he got a big yacht. He had one of the biggest yachts anywhere in the world. He moved for a time to Monte Carlo and he led the good life. And time went by and he got bored. And 15 years later, the company that he sold to called him and they said, the housing business is not for us. You have to understand, when Bill Levitt was hot, when he had momentum, he'd go to the job sites every night. He'd pick up every loose nail. He'd pick up every scrap of wood. If there was a bolt or a screw laying in the ground, he'd pick it up and he'd use it the next day in putting together a house.
I think we we really took for granted the fact that in the previous presidential administration, when we also had a cognitively deficient president, at least back then they had the decency to kind of like keep him locked in a room in the White House most of the time. Like, they would only let him out after injecting him full of adrenochrome. But this administration does not give a shit, man. They just let the old man wander. Why does he always rant about random stuff no one cares about? Have you ever talked to an old person, out of curiosity? Do you have any grandparents? Great-grandparents? What are the odds West Point citizens today were Boy Scouts 8 years ago listening to this exact speech? Ha! The more things change, huh? Good audio. Oh, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please remain standing.
Thank you. Very good. Very good. Love that military drip. Always looks good. Not always. Absolutely disgusting. This is what politicization of the military looks like, not pronouns. I wonder what the rhetoric of the French partisans look like. Partisans? You know? I wonder at what point... Is it going to be like, Democrats are going to be reacting to TikTok videos of trains being sent away to the camps on the border, and people are going to be like, this is what state overreach looks like, not Joe Biden trying to cancel student loans. I wonder how long it's going to keep, like, how long that, like, that tone is going to be maintained, you know? How come he never reads YouTube chat? For one, I do. For two, why are you asking why I would privilege the chat on my site that I made to get away from YouTube chat? Why would I have the chat on my site if there was no, like, privilege status here? That's the whole point. Well, we love our YouTube chatters. We do. Many fine people over there. Fine people on both sides of the chat wall. To lesser form. There's a reason why YouTube chatters, especially politics YouTube chatters, don't typically have chats on screen, and they don't typically engage directly with their chat. And I mean, for my YouTube chat, I also have like an 18-hour you need to be subscribed before you can chat thing. I mean, it's just you just have to overcome a bit of a wall. You know? It's no hate. Vosh is pro-segregation. All right, YouTube chatters to the back of the bus. Let's go. Man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. Oh man, oh man, oh man. Did you hear Mahmoud finally got to hold his baby son? Yeah, I heard. Give me the bit.
And we're taking you back now to West Point, New York.
That's great.
Something. I got to know him backstage with his beautiful family. And I'm supposed to say at ease, but you're already at ease. You're at ease because you've made a great choice in what you're doing. Your choices in life has been really amazing. So this is a celebration, and let's have a little fun. I want to thank your highly respected Superintendent, General Stephen Gillen, and he is really and I just want to thank them all for being here. We have a tremendous amount of my friends. They wanted to come up and they wanted to watch this ceremony, and they wanted to watch you much more so than me. So I just want to thank so many people are here.
You know, keeping in line with my theory that suffering and adversity keep you alive, which I'm going to be expanding on. Do you think that now that he's no longer campaigning because he's president for the rest of his life, he is going to start declining much, much, much faster? Like, clearly they're trying to maintain the artifice of indefinite campaigning. He's wearing his fucking hat to a West Point speech. But now that he has what he wants, which is the Oval Office again, you know, he's not constantly under threat of injunction or lawsuit or, you know, criminal investigation. It's all done. He's all fine. He's all free. I wonder if like the decline is going to rapidly accelerate.
Over the past 4 years, an extraordinary group of professors, teachers, coaches, leaders, and warriors have transformed this class of cadets into an exceptional group of scholars and soldiers. And so let's give the entire group, the entire West Point faculty, the staff, for their incredible love of you and outstanding devotion to the Corps. Let's give them a little hand.
Wow, that is not an enthusiastic crowd. Jesus.
And importantly, we can't forget all of those people beaming with pride. Look at them in the audience. Oh, they're so proud. They're in the stands. So thank your parents, your grandparents, and family members who made this all possible for you. Thank you.
Ooh, the wind.
And I think they must have done something right based on what
Dramatic.
I'm looking at. America loves our military moms and dads. Nearly 1/3 of the cadets graduating today are themselves the children.
Are the brass up there Trump loyalists? No, anyone who works at West Point is almost certainly like a old school neocon who probably despises Trump. I would dollars to donuts. I think that's true. Hegseth may be shaking up the upper officers at the Pentagon, but the people who work here have probably been here for a long time.
Of veterans. So to everyone with us this morning who served America in uniform, no matter your age, please stand so we can salute your service. We'd like to see who you are. Congratulations.
What a disorganized crowd. Okay, unironically, if you're the parents and you're attending your children's commencement at fucking West Point, and okay, this isn't even a Trump thing. What the hell? You're not getting no discipline out of the crowd? What? Fucking this guy's on his phone. No one's paying attention. It's not even a Trump thing, man. Everyone in uniform, of course, is standing up. But like, yeah, dude, like, I don't know. Your kid's commencement at West Point. It's a pretty big deal.
Congratulations. Great job. Every cadet on the field before me should savor this morning, because this is a day that you will never, ever forget. In a few moments, you'll become graduates of the most elite and storied military academy in human history, and you will become officers in the greatest and most powerful army the world has ever known. And I know because I rebuilt that army, and I rebuilt the military. And we rebuilt it like nobody has ever rebuilt it before in my first term.
What was that? That's applause.
Your experience here at West Point has been anything but easy, but
Not me. Not me. It's ABC. Not me.
you came for duty,
I didn't do
you
it.
came to serve your country, and you came to show yourselves, your family, and the world that you are among the smartest, toughest, strongest, most lethal warriors.
Dude, you can. I'm sorry. Just the physiognomy difference between these two at the military academy commencement is really, really, really funny to me. Just like on every level, you're getting like a Pixar audience dynamic here in terms of like body shape range.
Ever to walk on this planet.
Look at this guy.
Looking out at all of you today, I can proudly say, looking out, mission
What the fuck is with the
accomplished.
audio
Great
here,
job.
man?
But now you have to go on. You have to forget that.
It's
Now you have
ABC.
another.
I didn't do
It's a
it.
sad thing, isn't it? You know, you can't rest on your laurels no matter what. You just have to keep going. You take a little day off, and you go on to the rest, because you have to have victory after victory after victory. And that's what you're going to have as you receive your commissions as second lieutenants. Each of you continues down the same hallowed path walked by titans and legends of U.S. military lore.
Laurel.
Giants like Ulysses S. Grant, John Blackjack Pershing, Dwight David Eisenhower, the one and only Douglas MacArthur,
MacArthur.
old blood and guts George Patton, and Norman Schwarzkopf.
Not going to
All
mention
right.
Ulysses S.
So
Grant.
many more. They and countless other patriots before you have walked out of these halls and straight into history. And today, you officially joined those immortal heroes
He
in a
did?
proud
First name?
ranks of
Oh, shit, I wasn't paying
the
attention. I was
long
looking
gray
at chat.
line. You know that term, so beautiful. The long gray line.
Speaking of Trump being woke in the Confederacy, remember when was it Nikki Haley? Nikki Haley flubbed that question where she was like doing some lost cause bullshit, like what the cause of the Civil War was, and she was like, it's states' rights. And Trump, shortly thereafter, during the 2024 Republican primary, he was like, it's slavery. Come on, don't be stupid. It's obviously slavery, which because he's a New York Democrat. Trump. And Haley is what? South Carolina?
Among the 1,000 cadets graduating today, 26 of you wear the prestigious star wreath, signifying the highest level of academic achievement. Please stand up. 26. Let's see if somebody stands who shouldn't be standing.
This guy started clapping late. Dude, look at the crowd here, man. Jesus Christ. I've seen West Point commencements before. I mean, not recently, but you know. It's not the first one that's ever happened. This is a weird vibe.
Congratulations. That's a big honor. This class includes an incredible 4 Rhodes Scholars. Stand up, please. 4.
They're all looking around, too. They have, like, no idea what the fuck is happening.
Wow. That's tied for the most of any West Point class since 1959. That's great. 4. Congratulations. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. I want to bring them right to the Oval Office. I don't want to have them go too far away from me. 8 cadets here today took on the challenge of designing their own hypersonic rocket. Oh, we can use you. We're building them right now.
Huh?
You know, we had ours stolen. We are the designer of it. We had it stolen during the Obama administration. They stole it. You know who stole it? The Russians stole it. Something bad happened. But we're the designer of it, and we're now building them, and lots of them. And earlier this year, they launched it into space, setting a world record for amateur rocketry. Can't get you in there fast enough. This class excelled not only mentally, but also physically last January when more than 1,000 cadets volunteered for an 18.5-mile march on a freezing winter night.
I could do that.
Cadet Chris Verdugo completed the task in 2 hours and 30 minutes flat, smashing the international record for the competition by 13 minutes. Where is he? Where is he? Come up here. Come up here, Chris.
That's pretty impressive. 2:13 for an 18-mile
Come here.
run? All right.
By 13 minutes. Come here, Chris. I want to see this.
Oh, hold up there, son. Back straight. Come on now. Well, what's this hunch? Back straight. Hoorah! Let's go.
Wow. 13 minutes. Hey, something. Come here. Come here.
It's been a long 5 years, but I couldn't have done it with any of these guys. Love you guys all. Thank you.
Aw.
That's great. Keep it going, Chris. That really is a definition of Army strong, isn't it? International.
Trump thought he was going to praise him? Yeah,
This class
maybe.
includes 513 graduates who completed Air Assault School, 70 who completed Airborne School, 8 who made it through the Ultra Elite Army Diver School, among the most difficult and grueling programs anywhere on Earth. That includes the first 2 women in West Point history
Woke.
to complete diver school.
DEI.
Cadets Megan Cooper and Clara Sabu. Where are you? Stand up. Where are they? Wow, great job. That is not easy. Congratulations, Megan, Clara. That's a job well done. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Some of you achieved a different kind of distinction here at the Academy, including 7 century men who completed 100 hours of marching for disciplinary,
I could do that.
infractions. No, don't tell me I'm doing this. Oh, I'm
Wait, for
so
discipline.
sorry.
Oh, okay.
Would you like to stand up? I don't know.
Ah, yeah, you rowdy boys. Ah, yeah. Come on, take pride. Take
I
pride.
think I saw Chris
Oh,
stand.
is one of them a woman, too? Long hair over here. Right? Yeah, right here.
I think I saw
Yeah.
Chris standing up.
You
Chris,
go, girl.
What's going on here? Well, you had one good, one not so good, right, Chris? Can't believe Chris is standing up. But we want everyone to leave here today, Chris, so you're going to be okay because I'm going to do something with a clean slate. So in keeping with tradition, I hereby pardon all cadets on restriction for minor conduct offenses effective immediately. So you're all okay. You're all okay.
They're all like, wait, is that real? Is that actually, is this like a thing? Is he just saying that?
The class of 2025 is a lot to be proud of, including your first-rate athletes and athletics. You are something. I've been watching, too. I love the sports stuff. What you've done is pretty amazing. Last year, for
I'm not gonna lie, like looking at this, not Trump's speech, but like the environment does kind of remind me a bit of my rambling about how school means nothing anymore. Like I feel like it is kind of like school is the box you get put in and you show up to half the classes and everyone's on their phone and eating hot chip and lying and stuff, you know? I wonder, it's not necessarily a ceremony thing, it's just I wonder if people would maybe have like better memories of their educational experiences if it felt like there was any kind of like meaningful structure to it outside of like, here's your 57-year-old textbooks, here's your dusty room with no AC, here's your teachers who all get paid $26,000 a year. You know what I mean?
the first time ever, Army lacrosse became the #1 ranked men's lacrosse team in the entire country.
No kidding. Lacrosse is an honorable sport, you know? It's a combat sport. They're all beating each other to death with those goddamn sticks.
Those of you on the team, stand. That's a big honor. Stand.
If school means nothing any more than why the fuck have it? All right, kid, do your homework. It's a weekend. Shouldn't you be like playing stick and ball or something?
Great. That's a tough sport, too. That's #1 in the country. Your sophomore year, Army football beat Navy 2017. And the next year, you did it again, beating Navy 17-11 and dominating Air Force 23-3. But this year, the Black Knights fought your way into the top 20 nationally and racked up your longest winning streak since 1949 with the help of graduating quarterback cadet Bryson Daly, or as you call him, Captain America. Captain America. Stand up, Bryson. Where's Bryson?
Steve?
We got to get him up here, right? Come on, Bryson. Come on. Man, oh, man.
No?
I heard he's some. Well,
No.
I came to a game and he was.
He's gone.
I said, yeah,
his ass
he
is
can
out
get
of here.
into
He's
the
over the
NFL,
fence.
can't
He's
he? But
actually
he
in
chose
El
this life,
Salvador
and you
right
know what?
now.
I
He
think he
wrote
made
a
a good
critical
choice.
op-ed.
Come on up here, Bryson. Come on up.
There he
Wow.
is. See, now this is some West Point posture. Look at this guy. He's doing their march. There we go. Oh, got to get up there quick though. But he's keeping his back straight. Jesus Christ, is this guy really like 18 or 19 or something? Look at the back on this motherfucker. Just proportions wise. Captain America. Corn-fed phonology? No fucking kidding, dude. Jesus Christ, John America over here. Americans really need to be classified their own ethno-linguistic group. partly because English is our language now, and partly because, like, this is a distinctly American physiognomy, okay? You can't be like, oh, that's like British, Polish. No. This is American, okay? Corn-fed, apple pie, etc., etc.
Go Army football. Shout out the Hogs, H4. Can't wait to graduate. Love you guys.
Apple pie is British? No, it's not.
Well, I just tapped his shoulders like I hit a piece of steel. Guy's in good shape. There's a reason, you know, there's always a reason for success. Thank you, Bryson. At a time when other top college quarterbacks were thinking about going pro, Bryson's mind was on something else. As he told an interviewer earlier this year, I'm focused on my career as an infantry officer. That's what he wants to do. So, Bryson, you did the right thing, and that's service at its finest. Thanks, Bryson. That's amazing. He's an amazing guy with an amazing team. Each of you on the
Amazing
field today
bat.
is among the most talented members of your generation. You could have done anything you wanted. You could have gone anywhere. You could have gone to any school. This is one of the hardest schools to get into. And writing your own ticket to top jobs on Wall Street or Silicon Valley wouldn't be bad, but I think what you're doing is better. Instead of sports teams and spreadsheets and
Great audio.
software, you chose a life of service, very important service, instead of stock options. And I do that stuff. It's sort of boring. Honestly, compared to what you're doing, it's real boring. You chose honor and you chose sacrifice. And instead of business suits and dress shoes, you chose muddy boots and fatigues, keeping yourself in shape. Because West Point cadets don't just have the brightest minds, you also have the bravest hearts and the noblest souls. You're amazing people. I could not be more proud to serve you as your commander-in-chief, and our country is doing well. We've turned it around very quickly. We've turned it around. I just got back from the Middle East, and I was at, as you know, Saudi Arabia, Qatar,
He's slowing down.
UAE, and I will tell you, they said, all three leaders, great leaders of those three nations, they all said the same thing. The United States of America is hotter now than we've ever seen it, and a year ago, it was as cold as it gets.
The
And
incredible optics of at a commencement at West Point, the president bragging about praise he received from Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE. Incredible stuff, genuinely. Guys, you're never gonna guess who said nice things about me and the country just the other week.
it's true. It's true. We have the hottest country in the world, and the whole world is
A bunch
talking
of
about it.
Islamic
It's an honor for
extremist
all of
slaver
us.
oil barons.
I cannot wait to see the glory that is still ahead, however, for the West Point class of 2025, and we're going to help you a lot because we're going to give you a nation as good or better than it ever was. That's what I promise you. All the victories that you've had together on these grounds will soon pale in comparison to the momentous deeds that you'll perform on the mission you're accepting today. And as a future leader of America's Army, and we have that Army geared up, we have ordered, you know, we just went $1 trillion military budget, General. Do you know that? $1 trillion. Some people say, could you cut it back? I said, I'm not cutting 10 cents. There's another thing we can cut. We can cut plenty of others. Right, Dan? We can cut plenty of other things. And you have a good man in Dan, too, General. I think you're going to find that. It's a very different warfare out there today. Now they've introduced a thing called drone. A drone is a little bit different. It makes you have to go back and learn a whole new form of warfare, and you're going to do it better than anybody else. There won't be anybody close. Generation after generation, the men and women of the Army have done whatever it takes to defend our flag, pouring out their blood onto the fields of battle all over the world. And all over the world, you're respected like nobody is respected. Our soldiers have sprinted through storms of bullets, clouds of shrapnel, slogged through miles of dirt and oceans of sand, scaled towering cliffs of jagged rock, and time again, the American soldier has charged into the fires of hell and
I
sent
have to hope there's some negative polarization here from these West Point graduates, because all of them have been, like, you would assume, pretty well educated. Like, you can't graduate West Point without having a decent education. So to get through all of that, and then this fucking drooling retard old man up here, it's called, they're introduced, there's something new, it's called drone, and you just have to, like, there's no way these guys who are signing up to, you know, put their lives on the line for the country, at least in the abstract, right? There's no way they're not like, okay, this guy's all right, grandpa. I don't know, they seem to cheer pretty hard for some of the stupid stuff you said earlier. None of those kids are cheering. The cheers were from the parents. You could tell from where it was, like, relative to the camera. The parents were the ones losing their shit. And yeah, West Point parents, guarantee you they're Trump freaks. The students, 50-50.
the devil racing in full retreat.
I've heard enthusiastic applause
no
before.
task
This
has
ain't
ever
it.
been too tough for America's Army. And now that 250-year legacy of glory and triumph belongs to you, the 1,000 newest officers of the greatest fighting force in the history of the world. And that's what you are, and that's what you're being thought of. Again, you are the first West Point graduates of the golden age of America. This is the golden age, I tell you. Promise. We're in a new age. This is the golden age. And you are going to lead the Army to summits of greatness that has never reached before. And you see that. You see what's happening. You see what's going on in the world. Each of you is entering the officer corps at a defining
And that's
moment.
President Trump right there,
Oh,
delivering
okay.
his first military commencement address there at West Point since returning to the White House, calling it a big celebration, introducing some very
I guess they got bored of it too. Well, whatever. The full thing's an hour. Yeah, we weren't watching the full hour. I clicked this one because it was 20 minutes. That's fine. I'll take the bit I get. I don't care. It was good? No, it was great. I'm really glad that we stuck around long enough for the drone bit. Drone and him patting the guy in the back and being like that he feels like a brick wall. Those were good parts. It's called drone. Unrelated, but you said you're reading up on economics, curious to know what you're reading. I can't read, I'm illiterate, actually, and it's insensitive of you to bring it up. I watch YouTube videos, thank you. I watched some lecture on some fucking Japanese Reaganite guy talking about, what was it? Deficit, something, deficit recessions? Balance sheet recessions. Quantitative easing. You know, I took a break the last 3 days, okay? I've been learning about other stuff. And by watch, you mean listen while playing Warhammer? Nah, I can't really pay attention to that stuff over Total War. Total War has to be like slot podcast material, not like econ stuff. You're my slot podcast of choice. Happy to fulfill that role for so many people. All right, time to talk about the doom and gloom stuff. You mean we weren't already? I talked about this briefly. I didn't talk about it extensively, mostly because a lot's been going on, and also I'm terrible at my job. But the country's over. Sorry to let you know. Sorry to let you know like this. I know it's not very ceremonious. I'll just I guess there's no lead burying, really. The media isn't talking about this. I'm not sure why. Probably because they hate you. Also, there's no way to cover it without sounding really, really alarmist. There are a few articles, but you're not going to see widespread discussion, which is interesting because it's probably the single most dangerous thing in the entire big, beautiful bill. They added a provision, very sneaky, last-second provision to the big, beautiful bill. Now, remember how the Trump administration has petitioned to the Supreme Court the argument that federal injunctions shouldn't be allowed? Remember that? Now, remember how in the arguments of that case and in cases that followed, where the Supreme Court, validated pre-existing federal injunctions, it seems very likely that when the Supreme Court makes a ruling on that in probably late June, I think, it seems likely that they are not going to grant the request of the Trump administration. They're not going to make federal injunctions not a thing. In case you don't know, a federal injunction is how a federal judge keeps the government from doing something that is illegal. If a law is passed and somebody sues the government and says, "Ayo, this law violates our constitutional rights," a judge takes that case and then can issue a federal injunction to stop the government from doing that thing. The Trump administration has tried to get the Supreme Court to rule against federal injunctions. It's probably not going to. So this is their next attempt. Basically, they're trying to make federal injunctions impossible in the form of a budget provision. And what this essentially means is that pre-allocated budget funds that are handed out to federal judges and the courts in general, of course, they all receive money from the federal government, they're federal judges, they're federal courts, they cannot use that money to pursue contempt charges alongside, or if federal injunctions are not followed. Essentially, what this means is that if the government violates somebody's constitutional rights, very, very blatantly, like it could be a cop or ICE arrests a citizen and deports them to Sudan, and that's that, right? And they say, we're going to do that to all black people. They just say that, right? Well, normally a federal injunction would put a stop to it. But now, if a federal injunction is issued against that behavior, the judge, all judges, would not be able to allocate any resources to hold the government in contempt for not following the injunction. After all, the consequences of not following the injunction are to, you're held in contempt, which is a crime, and then the government can go after you, right? The judge can file up paperwork with the clerks. The judge can send marshals after you. But all of that takes money. And what this provision in this bill does essentially is say, nope, the money that is allocated via the pre-existing budget, which is all the money that you have, cannot be used in the furtherance of pursuing contempt charges if an injunction is violated. What this effectively means is that there would be no way for the judiciary to ever meaningfully enforce federal injunctions. It would erase the judiciary with regard to their ability to stop the government. What's more, and this is a particularly nefarious bit because it does get worse, believe it or not. The language in the House-passed bill would block federal judges from enforcing their contempt citations if they had not previously ordered a bond, a provision Republicans said was intended to discourage frivolous lawsuits by requiring a financial stake from those suing, meaning that even if the judges could somehow get funding to pursue contempt charges against people violating their federal injunction, they would not be allowed to do so unless the plaintiff in the case, the one who was suing the government, was issued a bond and put up money, potentially an enormous amount of money, because the purpose of the bond is restitution in case it turns out the federal injunction is unnecessary. So it's possible that in order for the government, the judiciary, to be able to do anything about a violation of the law from the federal government, you would have to pony up hundreds of thousands, millions, maybe, possibly more than single-digit millions, because the bond would need to be proportional to the potential harm of a revoked injunction. So only rich people can sue at all? Essentially, yes. And even the rich people who sue, if there is a federal injunction issued on their behalf, nothing can be done about it because the judge cannot allocate any resources in the pursuit of contempt charges. The government can do whatever they want. This bill essentially ends the judiciary. That's not an exaggeration. That's what it does. Like this in impact, it's essentially the Enabling Act. Yeah. This is it. But will the bill pass? It's already passed the House. It was in the big beautiful bill. It's essentially the Enabling Act. It completely nulls any judicial action against the government for any unconstitutional behavior. And you might be wondering, what happens if a case makes it to the Supreme Court? Because the Supreme Court doesn't issue federal injunctions. The Supreme Court makes rulings. Their powers above, right? Well, here's the thing. Cases only make it to the Supreme Court if they're appealed from lower courts. Usually, right? Like, normally what would happen would be somebody, either the government or a plaintiff, would lose the case in a federal court, it would get appealed, and the Supreme Court would choose whether or not to take the appeal. The Supreme Court would be the only institution left capable of stopping the federal government. So what happens if cases never make it to the Supreme Court? Like, let's say, for example, the federal government does something unconstitutional, right? Blatant violation of one's constitutional rights, and they're sued for it. And a federal judge says, yep, government's violating the law. We are issuing a national injunction. The federal government says, oh no, and then keeps doing that thing anyway, because there's no way to hold them in contempt. Funds can't be allocated for it. How would that ever make it to the Supreme Court? After all, the only way for it to go one level up to the Supreme Court would be for the loser in that case, the federal government, to appeal. Why would they do that? Why would they appeal it? They lost at the federal level, for which there are no consequences. Why would they appeal it, thus allowing it to go to the Supreme Court? Exactly. Yeah, no, it's actually over. No, it really is. It's not good. Vosh, in extreme cases, plaintiffs/prosecutors can directly appeal to the Supreme Court. Sure, and good luck doing that with every law the government's going to violate. Yeah, sometimes you can directly go to the Supreme Court. Sometimes. Does this mean they can ignore elections? Sure. After all, there's lots of stuff the federal government could do that would violate your constitutional rights to a fair election. What are you going to do about it? Issue a federal injunction? Yeah, good luck with that. You understand? Elections verified in Senate, not a court? Yeah, but the government has a lot of power in adjusting what the outcome of an election is going to be. It's not about whether or not they're verified by the Senate. It's about whether or not there are a million things the government does in the meantime that adjust the results. These are the changes the Senate is eyeing. Nothing about this is brought up. That's the thing. There are people talking about how Senate Republicans aren't going to verify this, but Senate Republicans' problems are with the budget, not with this. The Republican Party is unified in their interest of ending democracy. You know, that's not something they're arguing about. And again, nobody's bringing this up. But didn't the government already ignore the Supreme Court anyway? You're not understanding the scope and gravity of this, okay? This doesn't just allow the government to do illegal things. The government has always done illegal things. This structurally, baked into law, prevents the judiciary in its entirety from ever stopping or issuing contempt charges against the federal government. This ends the law. It's like asking the difference between, well, murder is illegal, but people still murder. Like, this would be revoking the illegality of murder. So that's pretty bad. Anyway, yeah, nobody's talking about this. I think a lot of Democrat media doesn't really understand the scope of it, or like the way they're talking about it. I mean, the New York Times article barely says anything at all. It's just like a rote description of what this does and what it could do without even explaining what the ramifications are of it, really. There's an Intercept article, which is much better, but it's also The Intercept, not exactly mainstream media. And funnily enough, a Newsweek article. I saw a few other small articles talking about this, but besides that, not really that much. The cool thing, by the way, is that the inability for judges to meaningfully enforce injunctions against the federal government for unconstitutional behavior would be retroactive too, because any injunctions pursued now would still pull from the existing budget, which is what's forbidden. Meaning that every single injunction ever issued at any point ever against the federal government in this administration or previous ones, all of them could be ignored. Everything. Would judges be able to set a 50-cent bond to circumvent this law? I mean, that wouldn't be a reasonable bond. But even, again, if they did, it wouldn't circumvent the law because they still wouldn't be able to use funds to pursue contempt charges. Couldn't they just do the injunctions without allocating resources? No. You can't enforce an injunction without allocating resources. You need clerks, you need marshals, you need people whose job it is to do that. Theoretically, a bond could be set high enough that it would cover the cost of going after the federal government. But do you have any idea how expensive that would be? Like, if the bond that is issued is high enough that it would allow for that, like the cost of contempt charges against the federal government, I mean, we're talking millions and millions of dollars. Functionally, it makes it impossible. How is the Newsweek article on this significantly better than the New York Times article? I've been noticing that about Newsweek, by the way. Leaving aside their video content, a lot of their articles are actually significantly better written. They might be AI, I don't really know. But in terms of the content they have, New York Times is junk. Yeah, it's really, really bad. Like, I would actually say in many cases worse than the Daily Wire. Does this mean you can't enforce taxes at all anymore? No, I have no idea what you're talking about. What does this have to do with taxes? Does the bill need a simple majority in the Senate? Yep. It's a budget bill. Wouldn't the Supreme Court just shoot this bill down? Do you know how the government works? Because I can explain in roundabout ways for a while, but I don't think you're understanding the extent of this. Can the midterm change the bill? No, that's not how midterms work, or bills. If enacted, it would be a stunning restriction on the power of federal. Sometimes I do wonder if my ability to convey this information is hamstrung a bit by the education of my audience. Love and respect, by the way, to all of you. But like, I don't think a lot of you understand what this is or what this is at, or what level this is. The Supreme Court has long recognized the contempt power is integral to the authority of the federal courts. Without the ability to enforce judicial orders, they are rendered mere advisory opinions which parties are free to disregard. Chemerinsky wrote that federal courts rarely require a bond to be posted by those, quote, who are restraining unconstitutional federal, state, or local government actions, as those seeking such orders do not have the resources to post a bond, and insisting on it would immunize unconstitutional government conduct from judicial review. Representative Joe Neguse? Probably Negose, a Colorado Democrat, said in an interview that the provision was added because the Trump administration is, quote, losing in virtually every court in the land. Dozens of lawsuits have been filed since Trump returned to office, challenging his executive orders and actions taken by his administration. Judges have partially or fully blocked the president at least 82 times, according to a tally by the Associated Press. Think we'll get any kind of change to the Constitution? Probably not. I don't really see what the need is. When you can do stuff like this. The provision in the House bill would make all the court orders in these cases completely unenforceable. There would be no court orders against the Trump administration ever again, not meaningful ones. So do we know it's going to be passed in the Senate? No, we don't. We can't see the future. There's no reason to believe it won't be. It's possible that it won't be, but why do you think Republicans in the Senate would change it? The bill is stunning in its scope. It would apply to all temporary restraining orders, preliminary injunctions, and even permanent injunctions ever issued in American history. Ever issued. Not familiar with the American processes, but I read there is a way single senators can exclude single items from budget bills if they are unrelated to budgeting. Overriding requires a 60-vote quorum. Is that something that that could happen? Well, this is a budgeting thing. That's the reason why it's framed the way that it is. It doesn't ban federal judges from issuing injunctions. It prohibits them from using allocated funds in order to pursue those injunctions. So it is like a budgetary bill. Of course, that's bullshit, but, you know. Yeah, no kidding, man. This Newsweek article is so much better than the New York Times. This article has been updated to add commentary from Erwin Chemerinsky. That was good of them. I wish the New York Times did that. So there's literally no way to stop this. Are you a senator? Goth gamer girl, are you a U.S. senator? Yeah, why? Oh! Well, get in there, Tiger. Luckily, I live in VA, and both our senators are staunchly against this. Well, it's a nationwide thing, so don't know how much that matters. I mean, I'm glad your senators are against it. I don't know how much of a difference it's going to make. Let's enjoy articles like this while we still can. Donald Trump suffers triple legal blow within hours. 3 legal defeats. Really? Federal judge rejected the administration's attempt to overturn the May 19th ruling that the Institute of Peace must return to the control of its original board. Executive order targeting Jennifer and Block was ruled unconstitutional. So, yep. Have fun reading articles like this while we still can, because very, very soon, articles like this will no longer matter. There will be no consequence to the injunctions. So could they start just segregating federal buildings again? No, because the Civil Rights Act is not a federal injunction. That's a law. That's different. Well, actually, I guess what they could just do is, if they wanted to, which they don't, but if they did want to, they could start segregating federal buildings, and then it would go to a judge, and the judge would say, that's obviously illegal. You can't do that. I'm issuing an injunction. And then Trump would be like, lol, comma, Lamau. And then they would just keep doing it. Yeah, they could. They can do anything they want, essentially, if this goes through. Yeah. Literally, yeah. It's because they can override any injunction effectively, and any law they break, the injunctions that follow could then be overridden. So yeah. Do you think this will have any effect on public opinion, given that it should be pretty easy to explain even to the median voter how this is a flagrant abuse of power? Do you see the media talking about it much? Let me look up on YouTube right now. Budget bill provision, federal injunctions. We'll see. I'm sure somebody's talking about it. Not nobody. Let's see. Ooh, that's not looking good. Not related. Not related. Not related. Keep in mind, I specifically said federal injunctions in what I searched. Not related. Not related. Not related. Not related. Not related. Key features might include it. 15K views from CBS. Put it in quotes. Nobody puts it in quotes. Tax bill advances, here's what to know. Might be related, but tax bill? Nope. A peace stream? Nope. Last minute changes to Trump budget bill help to ensure passage in House. Maybe, not mentioned in the title. People also watched Why Genocide, Harvard. Okay, so yeah, there you go. I mean, listen, it's not whether or not people are talking about it. It's about whether or not people are seeing it. And they're not. That's not the discourse. I gotta say, though, the cuts to Medicaid and SNAP are nothing next to what this does to the judiciary. Doesn't quotes make it required in the results? Are you, respectfully, are you stupid? The point is, if you have to start quote searching to find the coverage isn't meaningful. That's the point. It's a bill going through the Senate. We're not looking to see if a news agency once talked about it. Okay, there should be billboards in Times Square on this. It's the end of the country. It's the Enabling Act. It's the end of the judiciary. Dog, I was just asking. You need to be focused on the big picture here. We found a Newsweek article, okay? Nobody's talking about this. Nobody gives a shit. How will this affect my stock portfolio? Probably not too well. It is basically the Enabling Act. The only difference being that it immunizes the executive from the judicial rather than the legislative. But in this case, the legislative doesn't do anything at all, basically. So it doesn't really matter. Maybe you should say what the Enabling Act is. The Enabling Act was the thing that Hitler did that prevent. I'm not a historian. It prevents the Weimar legislator from overriding him, right? Da 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 da. Allowed the Reich government to issue laws without the consent of Parliament. Yes. Worry about yourself, Corrupty. This Hitler guy seems very Trumpian. That's true. That's true. That's very good. Dog, even if you look it up, like you Google search it. Look at this, man. Look at what you get. You get articles from, in order, Just Security, Campaign Legal Center, Balls and Strikes, then finally, Newsweek, the New York Times article is dog shit. ABA Journal, Axios. And by the way, a lot of these don't even they don't even really talk about like it's not just talking about it. It's also like the relative threat level here is not being described. It's the end of the democracy functionally. Click the videos tab. We just did that. Why? It might be that the overwhelmingly liberal mainstream news industry just doesn't really know how to deal with information like this because they're so complacent. It might be that they've been explicitly told not to talk about it, or at least have that implied. Yep. Sorry, I don't really have a good closer to this. Whether or not it goes through the Senate is not a done deal. We don't know. It certainly seems likely that it will. Why would Republicans not? Yeah, now is a good time to not Fed post, actually. You could tell people to call their senators? Sure, but like, the Republicans have enough votes. Why would Republicans not vote for it? You know? Like, they want this. Like, you would essentially be asking, I mean, you're asking fascists who have been doggedly pursuing the end of checks and balances and the federal, like unitary executive theory, to politely, like, not do the big sweeping move that would give them infinite power. Tell them that it's not extreme enough. Tell them you're dissatisfied with this. It needs to completely gut the Supreme Court as well. Yeah, maybe. Why is the House more Hitlerite than the Senate? Because the House is full of people that always have to be campaigning. The Senate gets 6-year breaks, but if you're a House member, you're basically always campaigning. Fascism requires a constant state of hysteria. So the more you're immersed in campaign culture, the more likely it is that you're going to be like oorahing your way through it. That's why Trump's always campaigning. No. Good night, y'all. Let me send this over to the editors. Is that it? That's the end of the segment, yeah. Man, Kamala losing really did permanently fuck us, didn't it? Well, no, this was all pretty much probably still going to happen. Kamala Harris, like, her losing definitely accelerated the process, but, you know, the House and Senate still would have turned out the way that it did. And to be honest, it's not like she would have done anything to meaningfully, like, fix any of this. Might have delayed the inevitable slightly. Is she still alive? Nobody knows. Nobody's sure. We need to scream from the rooftops about this now. If you were going to do that, you would be doing it and not asking me rhetorical questions that you know what I'm going to respond with in the chat of a live streamer. Unfortunately, this ties back to the big nihilism thing. Everyone's too comfortable. Everyone likes to talk about it. Everyone likes to get their likes and their retweets. How many likes for pro-Palestinian activism on Twitter versus how many people actually out there protesting? Sorry, this was pretty much inevitable. The only people actually galvanized into doing anything, unfortunately, are crazy people and fascists. And there's a pretty big overlap between those two groups. Everyone else is too busy enjoying the, like, creature comforts of their day-to-day lives. Making pasta and sourdough. See, I'm standing by that mute because you didn't need to keep linking that. That being said, I do know this person. Did they make a short about this? We'll look at it. You're staying muted. As punishment. But I'll look.
Why did you sneak this thing into the budget bill about the courts?
To give the current administration unlimited power.
Didn't we already make this video?
Nope, you're thinking about the Supreme Court case around national injunctions. We wanted to hedge our bets, so we did something worse.
You're saying that the administration can ignore court rulings and the court effectively can't do anything about it?
Yeah.
I'm clearly misunderstanding this because that's insane.
No, I will happily explain it to you because it's very clever.
Oh, I'm gonna hate this, aren't I?
You know all those executive orders that the courts were saying were unconstitutional?
Ending birthright citizenship, deporting people to prisons in El Salvador.
If the administration were to ignore those rulings now, they'd be in contempt, and judges would have a series of things that they could do to try to get the administration to comply. But this bill says that specifically for these national injunctions, courts can't use their already approved budgets to do any of those things.
So basically you're just like cutting off the payroll, like you can't pay clerks to do paperwork, you can't pay U.S. Marshals to go apprehend people.
Exactly. We have neutered the courts through the budget.
House Republicans already passed this?
Yeah, but it gets worse.
Oh, come on.
This is specifically for cases where a bond wasn't issued at ruling.
What does that mean?
This is a oversimplification, but sometimes judges will say, hey, even though I'm ruling in your favor and this is unconstitutional, you still have to give me a big pile of money to hold on to for a while, just in case this gets turned over.
Me? I have to give them money?
Yeah, in case your lawsuit causes any damages. So basically, this makes it impossible for everyday people to take on cases like this, but it gets worse.
But just spit it out.
It also applies retroactively.
So you're saying that all the cases that they lost already to federal judges and circuit courts, they can just ignore those?
This applies to every case. The Muslim ban from the first term, the mifepristone protection from 2023, every federal case.
Holy shit. So this is worse than the SCOTUS case in some ways.
Yeah, and it gets less good.
Just say all the bad things now.
Do you understand how appeals work?
Yeah, if you lose a case, you appeal it to a higher level court and you hope that they overturn the lower level court's ruling.
And if national injunctions can't be enforced, the only way to get a national ruling against what we're doing is to get it to the Supreme Court.
Shut the fuck up. If the administration loses a case and they're told it's unconstitutional, normally they would want to appeal it to the Supreme Court to get it overturned.
Yep.
But now they don't want SCOTUS to hear it because they can just ignore the national injunction as long as SCOTUS doesn't issue a national ruling.
I told you, it is genius.
Do you have an erection?
Oh, I'm surprised you can see it.
Nice meme. It's a good channel, Generic Art Dad. I'm sure he's bigger on TikTok and YouTube, given the format. Funny, but damn. Yeah, it's pretty much over. Assuming it goes through, but like, why wouldn't it, right? Good channel, though. Good videos on private equity. Maybe chat's starting to realize now no one's coming to save you. Start feeling the pain and use to organize. Chat's uttered by the people least likely to protest. I'm sorry, I read you all. There's nothing that pisses me off more than the people who do soapbox speeches from the computer about how everyone but them needs to go out. You know, look, it's good to mobilize, but it's like it's everyone's like, okay, everyone should protest, and then everyone realizes nobody's protesting, so then they're like, okay, everyone, come on. Set down your phones. You gotta go out there, which they type from their phone. And then they realize no one's doing that either. And they're like, listen up, everyone. I understand everyone's too nihilistic and uncaring and comfortable to go out there, but you still gotta. And they're still not going out. It's like, okay, I get it. I understand. What you're fighting against are material conditions. That's what Marx called them, okay? We're not dealing with like this Hegelian, like there's an idea that needs to be fought against. It's just that, look, you just have too many iPhones and DoorDash orders. You received too many burrito taxis to want to go out and risk dying to a police officer. I'm sorry, that's true. There's a number of burrito taxis that you can order in your life that, like, past a certain point of which, like, you will just no longer be willing to go out and riot. Like yourself? Yeah, obviously. I'm talking about myself too. Why would you think that's the difference? I'm being honest, which is sort of like a component of the work that I do. Yeah. What do you think? I mean, you think I'm going to give this bit as a live streamer and then I'm going to be like, no, this totally doesn't apply to me. What the... Dude, shut the fuck up. You work 3 hours a day, then complain about being tired most of the time. See, you're acting defensive, which is exactly the problem. Like, this is the behavior. This is the death spiral that I'm talking about. You're interpreting it as a personal attack when I'm factually describing, like, your burrito taxi based on willingness to go out and fight in a riot. I'm not attacking you. I'm describing a system that envelops all of us. But by you thinking I'm the enemy for saying that, what you're essentially saying is you want bullshit and dishonesty. You want me to, like, give you a LARP speech about how, like, the West is rising up or like, you know, we're not going to take it. No, we're not going to take it. We're not going to take it anymore, which you will consume from the comfort of your bed, which you haven't left since, like, you know, 3 a.m. last night. Don't get mad at me. Also, I do work off stream, you know. I have to, like, do emails, and sometimes people are mad at me over the email and I have to read it. To be fair, you could stream longer. Sure. And I could make the streams less interesting if you prefer. There are people who stream like 8 hours a day, and I've seen some of their streams, and I think there is a inverse relationship between the length of streams and the moment by moment interest of them. You know, I think there is. That's no hate to like Hassan or anyone who does those longer ones. You know, I just think that like in terms of like energy wane off or whatever, if you're just riffing out here, I think 3 to 4 hours, sometimes in the longer days 5 hours, good energy the whole way through. At least I try. I know I've listened. Okay, this is genuinely covering all this stuff. It does tire me out a little bit. Okay, listen, it's my country too. Now I was getting defensive. Do you think that's defensiveness? You can't talk. You can't talk earnestly with people because everyone's looking for a gotcha. You know. Is there anything PV can do to help address this judiciary problem? I'll ask them if they, if anyone in the organization is a U.S. senator. It was no reason to call me stupid. King Jar Jerk, you have been here for way too long to get upset about me calling you stupid. Come on. Okay? Listen, okay? Maybe you're having a peevish day, but this is a level of banter to which you should have been inoculated years ago, okay? I've read your name out loud many, many times. If you think this means anything, okay? Calling people stupid as a live streamer is a rhetorical device you use to thread. It might as well be an article. Well, I tried to sneak it in. Yeah. Like a lot of the folks in here have the energy to do more, but they need the framework, and there are plenty of chatters who actually do the work you're always talking about. Yeah, and I know that. I know that because people email me about the canvassing or activism they've done, and I always feel wonderful when I see that. However, if you're doing that work, you should not be getting defensive about me making jokes about the average person being lazy and, content. Because come on, for one, you know it's true, and for two, like, I apologize that my broad descriptions don't address the reality of 7,000-8,000 people watching at a time. Come on, you got to know we're framing rhetorical devices here. We're weaving a tale. Seriously, Vosh, I know you're on this everything is nihilism bit, but you could not be further off pace. Wait, I didn't say everything's nihilism. Also, off pace on what? Uh-oh, wait, you're actually mad at me. Oh, you're the person who said that I work 3 hours a day and complain about being tired all the time. You're the one, you're actually mad. Wait, hold on. A ton of us actually go out and do the community organizing you always talked about. That was the whole point of PV. I'm essentially saying you're misreading the pulse of the people, dumbass. Okay, if you actually were going out and doing something, I don't think you'd be reacting this way. This is kind of me armchair projecting, like I'm beaming a ray of analysis directly into your brain. But I think that if you were actually doing something, you wouldn't be this mad because you would know I'm not talking about you. People who react this way are usually upset because they don't like feeling called out. But what you have to understand is that when I'm talking to a group of people, I'm not talking to you specifically. If you stay quiet, I don't actually know anything about you in relation to the statement that I'm making. I could hop on any stream and go over community organizing, local orgs, advocacy, and protesting. That's good. Honest God, please have me on or someone oh, come on. And talk about how to work within community. You said you would back immediately. You would back immediately post-election, but you never did? Wait, you said you would back immediately post-election, but you never did. I'm not sure. But they're typing quickly. So it's okay. I'm pretty bad at typing. I can't really fault someone for quickly typing and making a mistake. Says folks with an X. The energy is there. You really did say. It's all psychological, right? It's not really a personal thing. Unfortunately, like the truth is, and if you disagree with this, you're just, in my opinion, a bit delusional. The energy is not here in the United States, you know? It's a sick, diseased country. And I do think it's because of comfort. I do think that. I do think it's true that like you can see like it's a part of it's a cultural thing as well, because if you go to like France, for example, they're all like, you know, shoveling shit on people's doorstops over like the retirement age being raised by 1 day or something. So I think part of it is like, you know, what's considered acceptable or what's considered you know, like a normal thing to do. But I think to a large extent, it's just that like when people are desperate, they're willing to fight for more, and when people aren't desperate, they're not. It's unfortunate. I don't know if it's because of them dang iPhones or whatever, but like, man, the relationship between how rapidly the country is being torn apart and how quiet people are about it is shocking, isn't it? Like even back during the first Trump administration, the vibe was very, very, very different, right? You had all these like resist libs and, you know, people screaming out in the streets, and what Trump did in his entire first term already is nothing compared to what's happened so far the second. Like not even remotely close, you know? Like exponentially worse so far the second term. And yet I don't think it's phone, just classic short-sightedness. Well, I mean, sure, but like people in general are short-sighted, right? But that's like fine. We only live so long, right? We're dealing with institutions that often, you know, outlive people quite a bit. Haven't there been weekly protests? There are always weekly protests, but the country is being torn apart, man. Okay, remember Euromaidan? The shit that Yanukovych was trying to get through in Ukraine was significantly like it was not as bad as what the Trump administration's doing right now, but they had like massive, like huge, everyone, like millions of people, you know? Look at Greece, right, with the collapse of their train station, and I mean, fuck, even like Serbia recently. It just, I don't know, it just seems like it's a comfort and culture thing. Comfort and culture, right? We are culturally complacent, and we are quite comfortable. Even the poor in America, in a relative sense, are complacent. Not to say their lives are easy. It's more of a accommodation thing. Because we lack public squares or something. Type shit. And the delicious treats, too. And the delicious treats. I think the delicious treats are definitely a big part of it, yeah. Everything's so abstracted, too. It seems like people need to suffer immensely, at least relative to how much they're suffering right now, for them to, you know, get up and meaningfully do something. Like they say, everyone's like 3 missed meals away from a riot, and I do think that's true. So I guess people just need to start missing meals? Like I don't know. I mean, at what point? Like we're kind of on like the eve. We're in like the twilight of the democracy, of a functioning judiciary. So like if an actual like informed political uprisings off the table, which it seems like it kind of is, you know, if it's just people like throwing rocks around because they're upset that they're dying because no Medicaid, they got cut off Medicaid, or no one gets food or whatever, or water, you know, water wars down in the Southwest. I don't know. It's pretty bad. It's not going to go on for long. Something's going to break pretty soon, I imagine. You got to get off saying chat's lazy / uneducated, even if it is true for a lot. No, I'm sorry. If I kowtow to like sparing chat's feelings, then it's over. Like I said, mutual contempt is the dynamic we have to preserve here. Okay. I have few comforts now in engaging with the news. One of my last remaining comforts now is looking at chat and making fun of them, even if it's totally undeserved. Even if it doesn't, and you can't be mad at that because you're a chatter. You all scream late when I'm not late. What are you gonna get mad at me? We're not doing a damn hug box in here. It is done lovingly. It is done lovingly. Okay. You got to say stuff like you could be doing more. Well, unfortunately, with regard to the like decline of this country, I am starting to think there's literally nothing that we can do. You know, I'm not one of those like fake it till you make it types with regard to political organizing. I do like to be honest with people when it comes to like what I think you can do. And, you know, I'm not interested in giving people a bunch of prescriptive statements about rearranging chairs in the Titanic. There are meaningful things that can be done. I do, for example, think like working with PV, like the, you know, getting the right folks elected. I do think that makes a difference. But like in the broader scope of things, it does feel a bit like deck chairs on the Titanic. A bit. Can non-Americans do anything? Yeah, be nice to us when we move to your countries. We could always claim it's always darkest before the dawn. I mean, sure, I could like say anything. I mean, well, yeah, sure, but like, okay. Could say whatever I like, you know? Unfortunately, if it is darkest before the dawn, if we take that to be true, which it is not necessarily, that's how it works with the sky, not necessarily with like history, you know? Sometimes you don't really know when the darkest is. This is not the darkest. Definitely not. Worry about yourself, no name. What is it about this subject that makes people act so weird? As an ancestor of enslaved Americans, or sorry, Africans, you're not going to win anything by feeling resigned and defeated. I'm trying to think how mean I should be to you for a sentiment that I broadly agree with, but I think is being misapplied here. I'm not entirely sure what it is you're angry with or what you're disagreeing with necessarily. You know, I guess I don't understand what the rebuttal is or what the point being made is. If you think this is like a doomer stream, you probably don't actually watch that much political content. Unfortunately, things are genuinely very bad right now, you know? I think that unfortunately a lot of people, you know what? I can thread this needle. This comes back to comfort. A lot of you watch this for wish fulfillment. The same reason you watch lefty content, not necessarily to educate yourself, but the entertainment of seeing people you dislike being epically owned in debate, or you know, the belief that the world is getting better. You know, you like being kept on a roller coaster of information being fed, but roller coasters aren't random. They need to have the right pacing to them, the way they go up and down. You don't like that this one's been going down for a while. You're getting bored of it. I'm sorry, that's not how life works, and I'm not here to bullshit you. Like I enjoy the format of the streams as a way of engaging with the information, you know, but I'm not going to be here like, well, I think based on all the signs I can see that this shit is properly like fucking over, but I need to like do a rousing speech. Ah, come on. That's ridiculous. It's not a movie. It's not structured in 3 arcs, okay? I'm just sharing with you what I think is true. That's it. And trying to be constructive with it, which is the rice and beans thing, you know. I really do mean that, by the way. I really do mean the rice and beans thing, okay? Because, like, listen, it's not even government policy, okay? Life will be imposing austerity on all of us, you know, in varying extents, of course. I mean, you know, I'll buy a pair of shoes now and again, I imagine. Hopefully. God, I hope so. But there will be rice and there will be beans. I think a lot of people are uncomfortable, at least on a subconscious level, because they're not too different from the frustrated far-righters that want to destroy society because they themselves don't really care if that happens in practice because they're not doing anything to prevent it. I think it's more, I think you're halfway onto something. I think it's more that people are caught in a superposition right now where people desperately want something to happen. People desperately want change, but they want the change and the something to happen to always be tomorrow. They always want it to be like an excitement, even like a nervous excitement about the ability for the world to continue turning and for the material conditions to shift and so on. But they don't want to live through that. They want to anticipate it, right? Like people clearly derive joy from the like, it's all happening, it's finally happening, it's over. People love that shit. They consume it in enormous amounts. There's a huge bias towards anything that breaks the like cycle of apathy, something that gives you the feeling of like, well, things are happening. Finally, I didn't engage with all this political theory for nothing, you know? I didn't learn about surplus value just to live an 83-year life watching nothing change except middling policy adjustments to the you know, Federal Reserve monetary policy and like taxes and stuff. Finally, something's happening. It turns out stuff happening is actually like really scary. So a lot of people are like, now that we're there, a lot of people are pulling back and they're like, hold on, hold on. Well, okay, by something happening, what we mean is like a glorious protest against fascism that the outcome of which is like we rise up as a nation. And it's like, well, no, actually, like look at history. That's often not how it goes, you know? I think people have, you know, yeah, people are idealizing the living in interesting times a little bit, but I think that people are also like, well, okay, but let's make the interesting times, like, let's structure it a little to our favor. Let's, you know, it's not going to be that bad, right? And then people get mad at me when it seems like it will be that bad. Just my opinion. I mean, I don't know. You had a thing early on this year about how fascism wouldn't work if treatlers didn't get their delicious treats. Yeah, I still think there's some truth to that, but unfortunately, like we haven't yet seen that like bear fruit, right? Like right now the economy is still functioning like more or less as you'd expect it to. So we haven't seen the public backlash. We'll see how things change. I mean, eventually, right, the consequences will come home. Yes, I read the YouTube chat sometimes. What really scares me is the fact that climate change will probably bring humanity close to extinction. Nah, don't worry. Trump's engaging in economic degrowth. It'll be fine. America doesn't even have a middle of the road interesting times, the despair movement. Maybe, I don't know. It seems like a lot of stuff is downstream of the fact that America doesn't really have any legacy culture, you know? Not much, at least compared to a lot of other countries. Like, America is wealthy enough that it could build basically the ideal convenience country where nobody had to think about anything or participate in society, and it turns out it was a nightmare. You know, interchanges and highways and cars and parking lots everywhere. But it was all built from convenience, right? Like everyone, that like cars are undeniably convenient. We didn't really think about how it would play out in the long run, you know? Maybe not. Life is about to get very inconvenient. Maybe. But it's also possible that for the majority of Americans, life is going to continue to be more or less fine. Slowly worsening, but still more or less fine. I mean, we're pretty high up on the totem pole of creature comfort, right? Like maybe, you know, the media stays suppressed. The administration is insane, but there are enough like corporatists in it that they kind of keep the ship more or less steered in the right direction. We keep randomly tariffing and untariffing countries in the EU and whatever, but it doesn't matter too much because, you know, corporate profits were already so high that the Trump administration is capable of like tamping down on them a little bit. So instead, customers only end up eating like a 10% price hike. And hey, people did that under Biden, right? There was complaining, but the complaining was almost like entirely fueled by right-wing media. So if the right-wing media is instead saying, actually, everything's cheaper than ever before, and if you ever notice otherwise, it's because of China, maybe people won't notice. Maybe it'll be like the frog boiling in the water, except it boils so slowly that the frog dies of old age and never realizes that when it died, the water was far, far warmer than it was, you know, when the frog first hopped in there. And then 100 years from now, people are like, hey, did you know that 100 years ago things were different? And people were like, nah, I didn't know that because they didn't teach us it. Anyway, things right now are probably fine, and things right then are not fine. That would be bleak. No. Of course, dark matter, yeah. 100%. But it might just be like that. I don't know. Maybe it is the Chinese century. No joke. Oh yeah, I saw a video of this. Leonardo Garcia Venegas, or Vinegas? A Florida-born U.S. citizen with a real ID was forcibly arrested by ICE at an Alabama construction site after agents claimed his ID was fake. That was a fun one. Wasn't there a video of this? ICE just up and arrested this guy. He is a citizen. I mean, he's just a guy. He could be any one of us. Though I think there's something about this fella that might have set ICE on him. Just guessing. DHS spokesperson told Newsweek on Saturday morning that there was no mistake during the encounter, stating that Venegas attempted to obstruct and prevent the lawful arrest of an illegal alien, thereby leading to his arrest. This is a lie, of course. If that was the case, ICE agents would not claim that his identification was fake. If the reason he was arrested was for obstruction of a federal officer, why then would they claim that his ID was fake? They were just arresting him. Here. Oh, really? It doesn't link to the actual... God damn it. Get his wife talking to NBC. NBC. Can't even lie competently. Not like it's going to matter much. Why is the NBC YouTube channel not posting anything, out of curiosity? I can't find any video of this. I just see a Newsweek article, the one that we're looking at right now. That's odd. They talked to NBC. according to an interview with the Spanish language U.S. news outlet Telemundo. Oh, well, I thought it was NBC. What the hell? Is this it? I think this is the arrest. Is it just on Telemundo? Here it is. Here's another link. Thank you, man. I could not find it.
Someterlo. Esto a pesar.
Pues no era verdad lo que tenía, eran falsos, los ID.
We've come across another issue with regards to like me watching this, folks.
Y me acusaron, me agarraron bien feo, me fueron los esposos bien duro, pues.
Este hecho ocurrió la mañana del miércoles 21 de mayo en Foley, Alabama. Según Leonardo, cuando él volvió de comprar material, los agentes ya tenían esposados a otros 4 trabajadores, entre ellos su hermano de 34 años, quien está ilegalmente en este país. Cuando Leonardo quiso grabar lo sucedido,
Me tiró el teléfono de golpe y me economió, me quiso tumbar y todo eso.
siguió insistiendo que revisaran sus documentos.
Te doy mi seguro social, pero chequen.
Yeah, I can't parse it. Sorry. I think they're speaking in Spanish. Really? Thank you for that. Whatever. Don't worry, folks. It's not like this isn't going to happen again next week. We can just cover that. Maybe the interview will be in English next time. Of course, after that budget bill gets passed, there's nothing stopping ICE from just arresting anyone they want. 4 of the workers arrested, including his brother. That's an illegal immigrant? Gotcha, gotcha. Do you think they'll go full nuclear in the queer community? Maybe. I mean, a lot of attention has been drawn towards trans people, but I don't know, like, meaningfully, I don't know how much political capital they'd be willing to expend on that. I mean, the first thing, they're going to continue to use the purported threat of immigrants to revoke rights. It's a little more difficult to do that with like queer people because it's harder to make the argument like we're being invaded by gay people. Though Russia does make that argument, so does Iran, right? Non-Western countries will say that it's Western degeneracy that they're fighting against, but you always need to like position yourself against like a foreign threat, right? That's the fascism bit. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Oh, no. They'll still pass anti-trans legislation, like, yeah, banning trans care through Medicaid and Medicare and such. But that's not, that's not even close to as far as they can go, right? Learn to get your hormones without a doctor. Yeah, it wouldn't be a terrible idea. I would never, ever, ever, ever advocate for DIY HRT, of course. That would be horrible. "5 years later, how the murder of George Floyd changed America." Not much at all. To be honest, seems like everything's worse now. I think it's just polarized society. I disagree. American society is significantly less polarized than lots and lots of countries. I just think it's that a lot of people are apathetic. At the end of the day, like, and I apologize for being insufferably leftist about this, but I think I am mostly going to blame the Democrats in the long run. Like, Republicans are fascists. Wow. There are fascist parties all over the world, even the Western world. The Democrats are uniquely, astonishingly weak. They let all of this happen. The fact that they allowed media to be bought up and controlled against them, they have, even after losing this election, they are continuing to do nothing. By far the loudest voices following Kamala Harris's defeat are Bernie Sanders and AOC, and they are not acting under the auspices of the Democratic Party. Kamala Harris went bye-bye. Joe Biden went bye-bye. They don't fucking care. I do not think Republicans are uniquely bad as fascist parties go. They're pretty bad. I don't think they're, like, uniquely bad. I think Democrats are uniquely weak. Shockingly so. And they've still done nothing. Still done nothing. Yeah, I don't know. Also, there's a non-zero chance they might pardon Derek Chauvin. He's still got state charges, not just federal ones. But yeah, if they pardon Derek Chauvin, I don't know if they will. It seems like it would just needlessly incite counter protest. But I mean, maybe they do. I mean, what you know, what are the consequences really? Can like a good thing happen? You'll have to survive a while to see that. Yeah, I saw this one. A Dutch father of 5 detained by ICE at a citizenship hearing. There was a 2019 removal order that was never enforced due to some, I think it was like a mistake in the paperwork. Like, you have to go through so much paperwork to become a citizen. And I think that at all these documents and forms or whatever, like something, he failed to file something. There was some mistake, some bureaucratic mistake. It wasn't like a, he's been evading the law for 6 years. It was that, like, there was just like a document. Yeah. They forgot to file one document when they suffered a stillbirth right before the deadline. Jesus. Yeah, in a normal society, of course, the federal government would look at that and go like, oop, and give them a message and be like, hey, you got to fill that out. But ICE arrest. Missed Form I-751 filing in 2015. Father of 4 with a 5th child on the way, instead of celebrating the final step in his long journey towards U.S. citizenship, Erickson was detained by ICE, leaving his pregnant wife, Savannah, and their children in shock and uncertainty. Jesus, this guy's fixing the fucking white birth rate, and you're deporting him? He's like our one hope for having, you know, unmelanated individuals 100 years from now. As of May 20th, Erickson remains detained at the LaSalle Detention Center in Louisiana, where he's already lost about 25 pounds during his confinement. Jesus. Serious question, why are they deporting a Danish man? Because ICE is under quota. They're being pressured by the executive to deport as many people as possible. So they're going after anyone who has any removal order, no matter how long ago it was, how senseless it was, or how much it's been corrected for since then. In truth, and I've said this for a while, to be honest with you guys, I actually think people really overstate how racialized the fascist policing in our country is. Like, cops shoot a lot of white people, too. I'm not saying they're not racist. They are. But it seems like anytime ICE or the police or whatever do anything bad to a white person, people are like, oh my God, and he wasn't even black. It's always been like that. Like, please understand that the authoritarian apparatus of the state, while definitely disproportionately targeted against people of color, not exclusively so, right? Like, I feel like a lot of people are, you know, living in a with a kind of false confidence or reassurance where they're like, well, you know, it's fine, I'm white. Dude, they are literally detaining and disappearing white, like, Germans and Canadians who come in through the border for nothing. Like this has been happening for months now, you know? Obviously, it's ICE, they're cops, they're still racist. But, like, let's not, you know. It depends on who's considered white. No, no, no. They'll do it. This is a Dutch ban. They've done it to very white people. Inarguably white people. This guy is also MAGA, by the way. I look forward to him after his release saying, like, he still agrees with Trump. Vaccines optional? All right, never mind. Get him out of my country. There's no room in this country for you, fucking foreigner. Get out of here. Danish, not Dutch. I literally don't care. Sorry. Erickson and his wife missed the deadline while grieving the stillbirth of their first child. Despite this, Erickson continued to communicate with immigration officials who moved forward with his naturalization process. According to Erickson, Immigration Services issued a removal order in 2019, but neither he nor his wife received proper notification. The order remained inactive until his citizenship interview in 2025, when ICE acted on it and detained him. Well, he did vote for this. He is housed in a large cell with about 90 other immigrants and gets around 2 hours of yard time each day. Cool. Maybe he'll be less MAGA when he comes out. I doubt it. Every fucking time we get a story about some MAGA dipshit getting mistreated by ICE, they come out and they're like, yeah, that was like the one exception where I think that maybe that they could have been more careful. But otherwise, I agree with what they're doing. There's no way that all the other people they're going after are also suffering a similar, like, mistreatment. Yeah, that guy whose fucking wife was, like, detained for over a month, and then she came back and he was like, just to be clear, I do support MAGA, still. And the wife was like, yeah, you know, I'm glad ICE is removing all these dangerous criminals. Weirdly, every single woman in the prison that I was housed in was really nice, desperate person who, like, probably deserves a better shot at life. And I really am sympathetic towards them, and I'm raising money for them. But yeah, anyway, I support Trump removing, like, all the dangerous criminals, which I'm sure he's doing in every other facility. This isn't a joke, by the way. This isn't an exaggeration. What I'm describing right now is, like, essentially verbatim what she said in her interview after she got out. Frog being burnt to a crisp and still refusing to hop off. Frog getting burnt, hopping out of the pot and saying, well, I still agree with pots, and I'm sure the other pots people are hopping into are much cooler than that one. Past a point, you just have to stop feeling bad, like your sympathy gets exhausted. You know, maybe this country does deserve to die. Maybe. I do think it's like, it is kind of wild that, like, once you're in the cult, nothing removes you from it. Like, some people might fall out, but I think that in basically any other era in America, if you were a supporter of a president and that president, like, pretty much directly arrested and tortured your wife for no reason, you would now be, like, on an FBI watch list as a suspected, like, threat against the president. Like, in any other administration, it would be the feds would be like, okay, that guy's definitely got a vendetta, so we need to, like, keep a guy on him at all times now, basically. But not anymore. Now there's like no relationship. No point. Are there news articles even talking about this? I just looked it up and the first fucking video I saw was from Really American. Here's an article about that woman you talked about. I can't look at it. I'm going to get mad again. Okay, I looked up Casper Eriksson and it's all football stuff. Like soccer. Okay, I misspelled Eriksson. Now I looked up Eriksson with the correct spelling, and it's still like nothing. Nobody's talking about it. That's great. Whatever, man. I don't fucking care. Whatever. Just put the segment title in the bag. Aw, hell nah. They're going after white boys too. You'd all click on that. I'd get $112.73 of ad revenue off of that one. I did, Thana. Do you think fascism is stable now then? No. No, I don't. Wait, you make that little? I don't know. I don't check every video. Also, like 5 videos a day get released. I'm not really in a position to complain. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Sorry, today's stream is short mostly just because I'm like upset. Sorry, it's my country too. I don't know. I saw a cool video about stitching the other day. Let me see if I can find it.
The blanket stitch is supposed to protect the edges of fabric, but it's such an easy way to customize your clothes. To start, get an arm's length of thread through your needle.
Since the world is ending, I think I should probably learn how to do some sewing.
And tie a knot. I'm going to sew our decorative stitch right at this seam line, so our needle will come up through the lip at the cuff.
Okay, wait, hold on. Does he have a sashiko weave? Blanket stitch, denim washing. What about the running stitch?
The running stitch is the simplest of all sewing stitches, but you can do so much with it.
Wow, that looks good.
To start, just thread your needle and tie a little knot at the end. All you've got to do is poke through the fabric in a line. Over, under, and pull. This is super useful when making clothes because you can use a running stitch to gather fabric or to base things in place. And it's the foundation of sashiko, kanta, and other similar...
See, I like stuff like this. I think I saw some Cowboy Crust videos recently where he was talking about like the editing that he's done to his clothing, and I think it made it look so beautiful.
It's the foundation of sashiko, kanta, and other similar practices of mending.
That I really like stuff like this with big, thick, heavy yarns in different colors. Unfortunately, well, maybe fortunately, I don't really live a lifestyle where I'm tearing holes in my clothing that much, but I would be willing to like be a poser and tear some holes myself. Not in the shirt that I'm wearing now, but maybe in some like thicker, heavier shirts.
All I used for this project was the basic running stitch, plus a plain old blue jacket and too much blue thread. You don't always need specialized knowledge or expensive...
You don't need holes. That's true. But okay. Guys, I'm gonna do... We're just chilling right now, okay? So if you're here and you're like, talk about the decline of America, just give me a bit, okay? It's the weekend. Fucking, what am I thinking of? Okay, there's this one video that I saw from a guy talking about how to sun fade clothes. It was this old video. He doesn't make content anymore. It's not like a content creator. It's just like a guy. And it was a good video. Is it this guy, William Billiams? And he showed the most beautiful repaired Capitol sweater at the end of the video that's not even like relevant to the video.
It's your electricity bill, but whatever. I've watched most of the videos on how to do it. This is where I'm going to be putting my shit. Yeah, I'm going to layer them out. Okay, so this one I've already done. It's faint, but like, look right there. You can clearly see. Whoops.
So he just puts in the sun? Well, yeah, it's sun fading. Though he also says that you can toss like buckets of boiling salt water onto it. Like every day, just go out with a bucket of boiling salt water and toss that shit on. It'll apparently like speed up the process. People do that to their clothes on purpose. Wear them in? Yeah, of course. Absolutely. I personally think that for most heritage clothing styles, everything looks better broken in and worn in. So if you're wearing anything with a military or workwear origin, so that includes like carpenter pants, jeans, pocket t-shirts, crew necks, sweatshirts, hoodies, I mean literally like a ton of different men's clothing, that they look way better. Doesn't that hurt the fibers? Sure, a little bit, but then you can always just like repair it, you know? If it's a high quality garment, it really shouldn't be coming apart.
You can clearly see the difference. And yeah, it's fucking...
Yeah, look at that difference.
Sun faded as investment in the clothing, basically. It takes
Show the shirt.
time. This piece that I have right here is probably like... It's probably been outside for like 2 months. And there's probably some little creatures living
Show the
in
shirt.
natural aging, of course. But you can manipulate it, you know, you can speed up the process of the aging and just, yeah, give things character. I have, this is a Capitol crew neck.
Yes.
That I'm fucking obsessed with. And like, look at this fading on it. Like, that's I believe it's a natural fade. Because it's hard to forcefully do something that looks so good. And I'm actually on a diet right now because I bought this and it was way too small on me. So I'm on a diet so I can fit into this because I'm so obsessed with it. Like, look at the detailing on this thing. It's ridiculous. Like, it's like a little spider web of thread. Like, it's so cool. This is definitely one of my favorite things I have right now. But yeah, this looks like it was sun faded.
I'm jealous. I don't own anything from Capitol. Maybe now I won't ever because the whole like world is ending. I don't know. Why has it holes? Don't worry about it. Yeah, I don't get it. You don't like broken in clothing? You don't like clothing that looks like it's been worn in a little bit? My clothes breaking apart is a problem, not a good thing. Yeah, but they're not, this clothing isn't breaking apart in a way that's structurally inconvenient. It's not like the seams breaking like in the crotch of the pants or anything like that. It's not a blowout. It's an aesthetic thing. It doesn't really affect their usefulness. Did I show this on stream before?
I've worn these jeans almost every single day for 3 months without washing them. So today I'm finally giving them their first soak. And if you picked up a pair of this denim that I designed over the weekend, this will be a good tutorial on how to wash them. But first, let me give you a fade update. The most noticeable one is definitely on my back pocket right here. I'm getting this crazy polka dot fade because I have an ostrich wallet. So all of these dimples where the feather of the bird used to be, they're creating that fade on the pocket, which just looks crazy. There's some other pretty typical wear around belt loops, getting some nice butt fades. I'm really stoked about the whiskering on the thighs. All right, now it's time to wash them. Okay, step one,
Yeah, I've
undo
shown
the
this
cuffs,
before.
and when you do this,
We'll
you're
watch it
definitely
again,
gonna find a lot
motherfucker.
of dirt. It's gonna be a little gross, so just kind of hit them off, clean them all out. All right, now turn them inside out. Look how cool these are on the inside with the
Left
persimmon
field
dye.
NYC.
First, you're gonna want to fill up your bath with cold water. Add in some dark color safe detergent and stir it around. Put your denim inside out into the bath.
What's an ostrich wallet? It is a wallet made of ostrich leather.
And give it a good agitation by hand. Next, put a few things in to weigh the jeans down. And every 15 minutes, go back and agitate the jeans again. In total, I let these soak for 45 minutes. Drain the bath, shake them out, and then roll them up in a towel like this to squeeze out any excess water. Then just hang dry the jeans for a day. All right, and here they are, freshly dried, feeling stiff as all get out. After like a day of wearing them, they'll break back in and be soft again. And overall, when you're looking at the jeans by themselves, they look relatively the same. But when you look at them next to a brand new pair, I mean, this is where it really stands out. I'm really, really stoked with how these are coming in. So all in all, a success, and I'm super excited to see all y'all's fades. And thank you so much, anybody who got a pair. I've worn these jeans almost every
I think it looks sick. Fuck y'all. What if you hate wearing clothing that doesn't have stretch? Well, I mean, you can wear whatever you want, right? I can't really speak to stretch jeans, like, conceptually. Because they're kind of losing out on the cool thing about jeans, in my opinion. No, copyright. I don't like fringe jackets that much. Love this guy's vibe otherwise. Look at him. See, look at that patching. Doesn't it look nice how worn in the stuff he wears is? Vosh has never been pregnant. Yeah, well, that's why this is heritage menswear. Yes, I know men can get pregnant too. I've seen the AO3 fix.
Just looking at the front, it's already awesome, but the back is where it's really crazy. This thing has permanent suspender straps from whoever used to wear it, clearly worked in it a lot, and the sun bleaching has left them there. I always love some good sun bleaching, and it's always fun to see the original color of the shirt. Okay, so let's make an outfit with this perfect summer shirt. Now, I feel like really any color of pants works great with a chambray shirt, but my favorite too for the summer is either get a green pair of fatigues like this, or some sort of white deck trousers. For today, though, I think I'm gonna go with these HBT pants from Bronson. Also, do you like my sunburn here in a perfect U shape? Okay, and I'm gonna throw on the chambray over top. I do have a mild predicament with this shirt, which is that it's just too long to wear untucked. With short sleeve shirts, it's pretty rare that I do wear them tucked in, so I don't know if I should hem this. I really like to try to leave vintage clothes alone a little bit, but I don't know, we'll see. All right, I'm gonna wear this top a little bit open, put on this rough out leather concho belt from Double RL, rough out leather roper boots from Tecovas. For accessories, I've got a few different fun things. First, these Navajo pearls and this turquoise pendant, some simple little silver cuffs as well, and recently I've been having fun doing just one ring. And finally, because today's Jackie Robinson Day, I'm gonna top it off with this Kansas City Monarchs hat from Ebbetsfield Flannels. Most people don't really know the full extent to Jackie Robinson's story, and even fewer people know about the history of the Negro Leagues and how important they were to professional baseball. So I would highly recommend taking some time today and looking into that a little bit. I promise it's definitely worth your time. But here is the final fit. Between its texture, its great color, and amazing breathability, I think a chambray shirt is a must-buy for you this summer. If you want to look cool and you want to stay
I'm sorry. I love this shit. I love this shit, man.
This is something that I have never seen before, and I think is insanely cool. But this right here is a waxed corduroy set from No Maintenance. Look how wild this thing looks. But they DM'd me and they were like, hey, we have something new we think that you would like to check out. And they were definitely right. And if you haven't owned any—
I'm too poor for this. I mean, a lot of the stuff that he's wearing is not super expensive. He does wear a lot of expensive things, but like, this is not an expensive style to get into. It's a hell of a lot cheaper than a lot of like contemporary upstreet, like, you know, fashionable Korean exchange student type shit.
Anything waxed before. It has a couple different benefits. It can help make your clothes more weather resistant, stain resistant, and also adds a little bit of a durability factor to them. But the coolest part, in my opinion, is when you have something that's waxed, the more you wear it, the more you move your body, it will crease in the ways that you move and create a patina that is specific to you, custom to you, similar to like a really broken in leather jacket. But once again, I have never seen it on corduroy before. Okay, this thing is awesome. Kind of like a boxy trucker jacket. Straightforward, but classic. Okay, so here are the pants on.
Look at
This
that.
is just their regular baggy style. Together, they're really cool. And it's nice. They're super comfortable to wear. Obviously, the waxing is just on the outside, but nice high rise. Thank you for that. The pants being nice and flowy. I could see myself actually wearing these in the summer, even though they're corduroy. And yeah, them together, I just think looks awesome. But you can mix and match too. Like here's the exact same jacket, but in denim. I feel like dark indigo always looks really good with corduroy, but I'm stoked about these. No maintenance. Thank you for thinking of me. While I mostly talk about vintage and heritage clothing that has stayed in style throughout the history of time and will always stay in style, it is really cool to see people do something a little bit different, a little bit funky. So yeah, shout out No Maintenance.
The cut in his t-shirt sleeves really good too. Yeah, he does benefit from being small and skinny with that one, to be sure. I have such a difficult time finding t-shirts that fit my sleeves like that. Any thoughts on Filson? Filson makes good stuff. It's just pretty expensive for the quality because they got bought out by private equity, so they've been raising the prices, making stuff out of country, you know? Right now, my favorite brand by far is Imogene and Willie. They actually have a 20% off sale right now because of Memorial Day weekend. How do you dress like this and not look Republican? No Republicans dress like this. Being fashionable is a massive left-leaning indicator. Like, it's like, oh, well, it's cowboy. Yeah, but, like, Republicans aren't cowboys. You know? Republicans might wear, like, god-awful fucking 10-gallon hats on top of ill-fitting suit with, like, skinny pants and cowboy boots that like form a rectangle at the base of the pant, you know, but they're not actually invested in fashion as a concept. This is like an overwhelmingly left-leaning thing. Stop trying to get me copyright claimed, you piece of shit. Is that a band collar? Huh. Those jeans look so good. True, Thana.
Outfit. Yes, I can. We're gonna start with my all-time favorite affordable jeans. These are the 90s loose fit ones from Gap. I'm so sad I think that they're retiring these. They're getting rid of the button fly. They're going with a zipper, thinner denim. Gap, please do not. For my boots, I'm gonna go with these Tacovas. These are kind of my dressier ones. And to hold my pants up, I'm gonna wear this studded belt that I made myself. Has a cool little snakeskin CC on there. Now, last time I did something like this, I was getting chirped in the comments because my undershirt was white. So I'm not making that mistake again. And for the bottom layer, I'm gonna put on this Yuma hemp tee from Buck Mason. I just love how this t-shirt fits. And also from Buck Mason, I have this pearl snap Western work shirt. This is also one of my all-time favorite shirts, and it holds up to its name well. I wear this thing on tour all the time to build our stage. Holds up great. And for the outerwear, I'm gonna go with this campus jacket from Mr. Freedom. And you wanna talk about luck? I found this thing in a vintage store in Austin. I saw it on the mannequin when I walked in, and I was like, come on. I go up and I check the tag, my size. Sometimes I am the luckiest girl. I know it's not all black, but I do like popping the collar on this. The corduroy is just so cool. And of course, for my hat, I've got this custom black felt that I got from Bowman. Fun little pin on the back there. I am gonna throw some silver on the fingers, nothing too crazy. Some silver around my neck as well. And I feel like for this outfit, we have to go with the polo black. All right, and here you go, all black cowboy outfit. Wearing all black already looks cool, but wearing all black with a black hat as well, I feel like that really just takes it to the next level. Also,
love the corduroy collar.
So I know a lot of people are excited for summer, but I am not ready to part ways with wearing this jacket every single day. But let me know how I did with this. And if there's some other outfit you want me to put together, leave it in the comments.
All right. I gotta move on. Oy. Damn, he's a cutie. Yep. Most of these brands don't sell in Europe. I mean, it's all extremely American, but I'm sure they'll ship over there, right? Isn't this being a poser? How is that being a poser? What are the best shorts? There are no best shorts. Meow Pill, thanks $10. I really appreciate that. I think your argument that comfort inherently breeds nihilism is capitalist alienation in and of itself because we have no wealthy communist society to compare to. I don't know if that's necessarily true. I mean, I think that to a large extent, people gravitate towards self-alienation because it's comfortable, right? Like there's a relationship, I think, between between those factors, you know? It's easy and lazy, like everyone works on their own. You don't really work in a ranch, or are you a cowboy? Yeah. Do you work as a coal miner? Why do you wear jeans if not? Well, that doesn't make any sense. Cowboys never even really existed, not in the way that we think of them as, right? It's just clothing. 16th Doc and Arzel, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Really appreciate that. What the Dormouse said, thank you for the tier 3 sub. Very kind of you. Tier 3 tip. 40% effort, thanks to the $5 tip. We'll see. No guarantees. Pachinko, thank you for the $10. Is fulfillment the best for us, or can it be something else like love or connection? I don't want to get too philosophical with it. I just think motherfuckers are getting lazy and disconnected because everything's made too easy for them. I've been rambling about against the DoorDash burrito taxis. You know, I think that you just got to keep on your toes a little bit. And also those goddamn phones where the whole internet's at your fingertips all the time. It's not made you smarter. I don't know. French Rollo 5 and Stinky Boy, thank you for the 5 both. Really appreciate that. Congratulations on graduating today, Stinky Boy. In Gov Law and minoring in philosophy. Had yourself a fun time, I hope. Hopefully education still matters in the near future. Thank you very, very much. Am I Cognizant and Lily the Gaylord PhD, thank you for the 5 both. Really appreciate that. I think Europe's energized due to their welfare states. I don't think it's their welfare states. Because, like, Britain has had their welfare state sapped away. And it hasn't led to much of, like, meaningful protest against the government, you know? But I think that British society is a lot more like American society than it is like the rest of Europe, in the sense that people are pretty, like, you know, like, what did Thatcher say? Society doesn't exist. I think, like, people's distancing from society is in large part like a convenience thing. You know what I mean? Welfare? I mean the NHS, but you get what I mean. Brainstorm Picture, thank you for the $5. Hey Vosh, my family and I are taking a trip to Italy in a few months. Unfortunately, we're all pretty Italian. Any advice for surviving ice? In Italy? I don't think you'll have to worry about them in Italy. You mean when you're coming back to the United States? You won't be dealing with ice. You'll be dealing with customs, you know? And they're not cops necessarily. I don't know. I mean, my advice would be not to come back. I don't know if that's realistic for a lot of people. I think you got this. Zerith and Faded Ace, thank you for the $5 and $10 both. I really appreciate that. Have you watched the documentary Finding the Money on YouTube? No, I have not. I have not, so I can offer no thoughts, but I'll keep it in mind. On the topic of rice and beans, one cheap way to self-sufficiency is fishing. I can't speak on this. I'm a city boy. I'm sorry. I don't know what fishing is like out there, what permits you have to get or whatever else. Would you watch the Sam Cedar versus Ezra Klein debate in abundance? It's actually really interesting. No, I'm pretty happy just sitting from a distance without watching it, or in fact reading or knowing anything, and just making fun of the abundance guys for trying to, like, draw lines and pick fights with their 50th iteration of why liberalism would fix everything. And by the way, fuck you stupid lefties for ratioing me on Twitter. When our country is collapsing to fascism. Romulus 476, thank you for the $5. I'm an active duty officer, and the only two groups I've seen with any drive for life right now are people from my major in college, physics and military. Physics? I've never heard of a physics major who wanted to live. That's interesting. That doesn't confirm my priors. Have you ever watched Daniel Simmons? I think I recognize that name. Do you mean the Asian guy or the white guy? Yes, I've seen Daniel Simmons on YouTube. The white one? And I do like his stuff. I will say though, sometimes I feel like well, it's not really heritage fashion, so it's not really my thing necessarily. Sometimes I do feel like there are certain types of fashion that are a little more reliant on... Okay, how do I put this? It's easy to make fashion where you show off that you are fitted and looking good. I think what's difficult is talking about why you look good and what about you looks good, you know? And I think that an issue that I have with Daniel Simmons in particular is that he is extremely handsome. He is a very, you can just see from the YouTube thumbnails, he is a tall, or at least tall proportioned person with a small head relative to the length of his body. And his proportions are excellent for modeling. He is a model. So sometimes I wonder when I see fashion content from people who are shaped like this, how much of this is the clothing and how much of it is your body selling it. You're a very easy person to dress. I feel like as long as you're wearing clothes that fit you, you're going to look great, you know? You know what I mean? So this is not at all a mark against him, even a little bit. But I'm not the easiest person to dress. So oftentimes I want fashion content from people who are like in the shit. You know what I mean? Like, is it a fit or is she just skinny? Yeah, exactly. It's a valid consideration. This is not at all an insult against this guy, by the way. You understand what I mean, I hope. Would you ever go fishing to see if you liked it? No, I have no interest in fishing at all. I would just feel bad for the fish. Stolas13 with a tier 1 sub. Congratulations, your wedding's next month. For a person whose name is Stolas in a live stream chat too. My goodness. Congratulations. I attended a wedding myself recently of between close friends. It's a delightful thing to see. Gives you hope, you know? Not on fire yet. Thank you with the 5 tier 1 subs. Fashion research document when? No, I don't think so. I talk about it quite a bit these days. I think a little bit less overbearingly than I used to. You know, I'm happy with that. Besides, I really shouldn't be like giving advice to anyone. It's not like I have any idea what I'm doing. I still have issues with my proportions. I'm trying not to buy any pants for a while because I want to slim down at least to a 34. That's pogged up, Stolas. Well, I like the looks. Thank you. I do try. I do have trouble fitting my body a little bit. I don't have a typically shaped body. It's not super atypically shaped, but I have wider hips than most people for my size. I do have a bit of a belly, of course. And I also do have proportionally larger shoulders and a wider chest than most people my size. So I'll have an issue where if I buy something that fits my chest and my shoulders, it's like way too big for my stomach and it doesn't like fit properly. Or I will wear something that fits my body well, but then my shoulders are popping out the seams, you know? And don't get me started with the pants. Arminius4, thank you for the 5 tier 1 subs. I think you can draw a straight line from abundance liberalism and Marxist crisis of overproduction. Supply-side economics doesn't change the unaffordable price. Without getting into all that nerd shit, I will say that, like, I do think anyone trying to sell a theory for getting out of this mess that is not a fundamental critique of liberalism is a bullshit artist. Look, these days, even liberals, like liberal economists and liberal voters, are waking up and thinking, what the hell are we doing? You know, even people who are like not super engaged with politics are waking up and thinking like, fuck, this is not like, for most voters, this manifests a kind of general unease with like the feeling that things can't really improve the way they want them to, but things can break way faster than they want them to. Like that's kind of that's been eating away at them for a long time. So in this environment, I think the only people that are out there really grifting for liberalism are people who have like Substack article subscriptions or whatever that they're trying to hit, you know? I really don't think, like, God, even the Democrats aren't really running that line, you know what I mean? In this environment, it's like, I just can't imagine you're really trying to propose a solution. I think that you're just stuck in the mud where you are. You know what I mean? Brainless the Second, thank you for the $5. I know you're not much into music, but us musicians are a big part of the anti-AI resistance. Hey, they'll never replace in-person shows, right? Probably. Also, you'd love Mr. Freedom. That's the recommended Clothing brand, right? I'm not familiar with them. Vintage inspired clothing brand. Well, yeah, that does sound nice. 20% off all leather jackets. That's nice. What do we got? What does a t-shirt here cost? 70 bucks? Okay. For a made in America. I don't know if I care for this website. Yeah, there could be some good stuff here. $450 jeans. That's pretty pricey, but it is all made in America. I'll keep an eye on it. I'll keep an eye on it. The weather's great, and I just got back from playing basketball. I feel great. The country collapsed while you were away, by the way. Yeah, I'm aware. Okay, just making sure. I bought 7 pairs of Levi's for $140 at the beginning of the year, lol. Yeah, and that's also fine. I think especially for like dark wash denim, the goal is like if you buy one durable pair, as long as you don't gain or lose too much weight, you can wear it basically forever, you know? Like you can just have one pair of pants that just look amazing on you, and that's like your pair of jeans. I'm a big advocate for keeping a small wardrobe, at least in theory. Why do stores sell washed out denim stuff? I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You can get unique fade patterns that can't really be accomplished naturally. Also, you know, sometimes you want a pair of light wash jeans for summer. You don't want to have to be like, ah, well, got to wait 4 years of wearing it in. Got some dang super chats to look at. The Irish, thank you for the €6. Do you think the Dem primary will be a repeat of 2020 and Kamala will beat AOC? I have no idea what's going to happen by 2028. Genuinely, it feels like that world is so far off. We're only a few months since the beginning of this presidency, and the Enabling Act is probably going to get passed soon. So, yeah, I don't know. Genuinely, I'm sorry. I don't feel at liberty to make any predictions. Therabas Dantiok and fellow guy, thank you for the $5 both. My clients are mostly Republicans, so at work I see them so jovial and optimistic, and I just wonder how bad it has to get before they snap out of it. I'm really glad I don't have to interact with people like that day in and day out. Chase Knight, thank you for the $5. Sorry, off topic. Just FYI, Adderall's neurotoxic to some extent at any dosage. Switch to Ritalin, Focalin, or Concerta. I'm a pharmacology student. No, I'm actually not going to change my prescription at the behest of a chat donation. I appreciate the offer, but no, no. I've been taking the same dose for like 4 years. It's been totally fine for me. The Dragon Warrior, thank you for the $2. Likewise, 100-pound loser. Still alive, thank you for the $20. I saw in an article that Trump wants bill passed no later than July 4th. Yeah, of course. Any changes made means it'll be kicked back to the House. This buys us all time. Make lots of noise about it. Call senators and reps. Get the word out. Yeah, I advocate for people talking about it. It's just like, it seems like the media is not even talking about it, man. I don't know. And still alive, I'm happy to hear that you're protesting and going out to DSA meetings. It's important that we all do as much as we can. With the additional $20, thank you very, very much. I still recall that speech you gave us after Roe v. Wade was overturned. Chat was dooming, but you warned us against doing that because throughout history, people still carried on. I found that rousing. Oh, to be sure. But, like, again, I will admit it is a little bit frustrating from my perspective that, like, I'm not allowed to have cycles myself of sort of engagement with the news without people, like, when you feel too positive, people are like, dude, this is fucking terrible. What do you mean protesting's going to fix this? And then when I'm negative, people are like, bro, you gave us, like, rousing speeches before. They're like prodding me with sticks. Like, dude, come on. Like, what I say is a reflection of how I feel at the moment, you know? Maybe I come in next stream or the next after that and I add more, but it's not, you can't keep trying to like self-correct me back to like the median level of engagement, you know? Because that's just not how it is. That being said, this is like, an especially bad, you know, event. Also, it's worth noting that after the overturn of Roe v. Wade, like, you know that abortion's been banned in half the country for years now, right? Like, it all happened, and there's not any protesting about it. The problem I'm talking about now is a lot more fundamental. You occasionally get news stories, but, like, overwhelmingly, they just won on that one. People were talking about how there were going to be protests on every street corner every time a woman died from a miscarriage, or every, like, unjust denial of an abortion. You know, you get protesting, and it just didn't happen. Now, in the long run, I think we're going to gravitate back towards it, but I think that we are dealing with a fundamental underlying problem of ennui, of social alienation, of disconnect, of comfort, or whatever. You know? Like, I like, clearly, I think that is the explanation for what we're seeing. Right? Because people are being awfully quiet. Diego B with the $2. Hurricane season's going to be interesting. Yep. Yeah, did you see Trump striking down the North Carolina FEMA funding? God. Malin Miller, thank you for the incredibly kind $50 donation. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you. I played GeoGuessr and the community did something good. GeoGuessr scheduled a wildcard qualifier in Saudi Arabia sponsored by the Saudi government. And the community pulled down all the important community maps and forced GeoGuessr to back out. Nice. That's actually really good. Yeah. Saudi Arabia tries to buy so much Western approval. They literally, like, they've done this with, like, esports tournaments too, where the Saudi government will use its enormous wealth to just be like, yeah, you know, we're just gonna, yeah, F1, they do this with, like, everything. They're like buying legitimacy by forcing, or at least monetarily incentivizing, all of these orgs to do business with them. So I'm really happy to hear that. Fucked up that GeoGuessr even, like, scheduled that to begin with. That is really good. Elias the Mad, thank you for the $10. Over the past few years, in no small part due to you, I've progressed from being a cynical nihilist to being fanatically dedicated to improving myself and the world that I live in. I'm a physics major. Happy to hear that. Okay, I'm glad we're getting some good physics major rep here. Yeah, if nothing else, if there's nothing else you can do, you can always be sort of, like, dogmatically committed to the process of self-improvement, right? Even if the world at large is taking a bit of a hiatus on improvement. Rice and beans, etc., etc. Rice and beans, dress well, whatever. Victorious, thank you for the $5. Attempted to burn some fallen branches in the rain today. Some NIMBY neighbor called the fire department. Over you burning branches on your property? Jesus. No society. Society's done. The social fabric is over. I hate homeowners. God, me too. Could never be me. Probably. The negative externality of the smoke, though. I mean, sometimes you have to have cookouts. Anyway, I love you all very much. I will either, I'm not sure if I'm going to be here tomorrow or not. I do not know. It depends on other plans, but I'll certainly be here on Monday. I love you all. Please take care. Drink water. And yeah, hopefully the government doesn't collapse any more than it already has in the next 24 to 48 hours. That's the hope, you know. We pray for days like that. The days being ones where things don't get much worse very quickly. So take care and dress sharp.